The sky burned orange over the ruined outpost on Varela 6. Smoke curled from broken towers and shattered hulls of defense drones. Fires flickered inside crumbled homes. The battle had ended, but the pain was still fresh. In the middle of the wreckage, a human soldier named Carter moved carefully, searching the ruins for survivors. His boots crunched over glass and metal. He wasn't here for orders anymore. His unit was gone. Now he just wanted to help anyone who might still be alive. A faint cry stopped him. It wasn't a human voice. It was smaller, softer. He stepped closer to a fallen crate and moved it aside. Beneath, wrapped in a torn thermal blanket, was a tiny alien cub. Its orange and black fur was matted with soot. Its bright eyes were wide with fear. The creature was too young to walk. Carter crouched and reached out slowly. It didn't hiss. It didn't run. It just whimpered, shivering in the cold wind. Carter looked around. There were no other life signs nearby. Whoever this cub's parents were, they were gone. Probably killed in the crossfire. He didn't know what species she belonged to. She looked feline, but more advanced. Her small tail twitched nervously. She had one pair of delicate feline ears and little claws that barely curled over his glove. She wouldn't survive on her own. And Carter couldn't leave her here to die. He wrapped her in a thermal cloth, tucked her inside his coat, and walked away from the ruins. No one stopped him. There was no one left to ask questions. When he made it back to his shuttle, he sealed the hatch and activated the med bay. As the AI scanned the cub's vitals, she curled up against his chest and slept. She was warm, soft, and fragile. Carter didn't say anything. He just sat down and watched her breathe. He named her Tira. He didn't know if it was right, but it felt good to say. For weeks he cared for her in secret, hiding her from the human outpost command. She grew fast. She began to walk, then run. She spoke a few words first in mimicry, then with meaning. Her yellow eyes followed him everywhere. She clung to him during storms and laughed when he lifted her high. It was wrong, some would say, but to Carter, she was a child. And he was all she had, but nothing stays hidden in war. The day came when the High Command discovered Tira. Carter was called in. They labeled her Xenoborn Biological Threat. They took her away promising she'd be relocated to a research facility. Carter argued, fought, shouted. It didn't matter. He was reassigned. His clearance was revoked. No one spoke of her again. And the galaxy kept burning. Years passed. Wars changed names. Borders shifted. Carter aged. He never found where they took her. He searched. He bribed officials. But her record had been erased. Only a few photos remained in his encrypted drive, one of her hugging a stuffed drone, another asleep in his lap. Those pictures haunted him more than any battlefield memory. He never forgot her. And he never forgave them. 20 years later, the empires had fallen, and new powers had risen. One of them was called the Seri Sovereign. They were powerful, swift, and cruel to their enemies. Their empress was rumored to be a hybrid alien-born, human-trained, and unstoppable. Her forces swept across the outer sectors. Some feared her. Some worshipped her. Few had ever seen her up close. Then one night on a cold neon-lit street of New Helion City, Carter saw a shadow walk through the mist. She moved like a blade, sharp and graceful. Her armor was black chrome with glowing orange lines. Her helmet retracted as she turned toward him. Behind her stood soldiers. Around them civilians froze. The air was tense. Carter looked up from his market bag and saw her face. He dropped everything. His breath caught. She was taller now, stronger. Her tiger-striped suit fit her like living flame. But her eyes, those golden eyes, hadn't changed. The tail flicking behind her. The ears twitching slightly. It was her. It was Tira. She didn't smile. She walked toward him slowly. Her guards stayed back. Her gaze was calm, focused. She stopped just steps away. Carter didn't know what to say. His hands trembled. For a moment, the war, the years, the pain, they all vanished. She stared at him with the weight of 2 decades behind her. Then she spoke his name not with hatred or sadness, but with something far deeper. "Father," she said. Carter didn't move at first. The word hit him like a pulse through his chest. "Father." She had said it without hesitation, without confusion. Her voice was deeper now, rich and calm. But beneath that calm was something sharp like steel hidden beneath silk. Around them, her armored guards stood tall, their weapons ready, though they didn't aim. Tira raised one gloved hand and the soldiers stepped back. The air between them was thick. Carter finally spoke her name, barely louder than a whisper. "Tira." She didn't flinch. She simply looked into his eyes, searching, measuring. Her face held no tears, no smile, just steady, quiet fire. 20 years had passed, and yet something in her still remembered. Carter stepped closer, but stopped when he saw her eyes narrow ever so slightly. She spoke again. "You look older, but your scent hasn't changed." Her tail flicked. Her claws rested lightly at her sides, just above the metallic belts on her hips. Carter didn't know how to respond. She had grown into something powerful. Beautiful, yes, but terrifying in the way a starship was beautiful when it moved toward you at full speed. This wasn't the little cub he held in his arms. This was a ruler now. An empress. Carter opened his mouth but found no words. He remembered the way she used to purr when she napped on his chest. The way she'd cry when thunder shook the roof. The way she'd laugh when he showed her old Earth cartoons. Now she wore armor laced with silver claws and glowing stripes. She had command over soldiers. He was just a tired man with faded memories. And a coat that barely fit right. "I looked for you," he said at last. "They told me nothing. They took you. I tried." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't beg. He just spoke the truth. Tira's gaze didn't soften. "I know," she replied. "I found the logs, your messages, your warnings. They deleted them all. They feared what I might become." Carter nodded. The pain still sat heavy in his chest, but there was a strange comfort in her words. She stepped forward now, her boots quiet against the wet ground. "They raised me like a tool," she said. "Taught me pain before words. Gave me numbers instead of names. But I remembered your voice. I remembered warmth." Her eyes flickered, a subtle gleam in the neon light. "They tried to erase you. But I couldn't forget." Carter felt a tightness in his throat he hadn't felt in years. Not since war. Not since loss. Tira turned to her guards. "Leave us." They hesitated, unsure. Then she growled low, a sound no human could make. The guards obeyed at once, disappearing into the shadows. Only 2 figures remained now, one human, one alien standing under a flickering blue sign in a world that had forgotten kindness. Carter reached into his jacket and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. He unwrapped it slowly and held it out. It was a small stuffed drone. Old. Faded. One of its button eyes was missing. "You used to sleep with this," Carter said quietly. "Every night, even when the wind howled." Tira stared at the toy. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she reached out and touched it. Her gloved fingers trembled slightly. Just for a second. Then her hand closed around it gently. "I remember," she said. Her voice dropped softer now. Its name was Beep. Carter chuckled. "Because it made a noise once and scared you." For the first time, something like a smile touched the edge of her lips. Not wide, not clear, but real. It passed quickly. She stepped back and placed the toy inside a hidden pocket. Then her eyes locked on his again. "I am not here for war, Father," she said. "But war follows me. The people who raised me ... They rule still. They poison everything they touch. And now they are coming here, to this world." Carter stiffened. "You're warning me?" Tira nodded. "Yes, because you once protected me. Now I will protect you." Her tail flicked again, sharp like a blade. "But you must leave this city, tonight. I can delay them, but not stop them completely." Carter didn't argue. He had seen enough battles to know when danger was real. And he had learned to trust the instincts of survivors. Tira wasn't a child anymore. She was forged in fire. And if she said war was coming, then the city had little time left. He looked at her, at the metal, the strength, the power, and still saw the cub who once curled into his chest when the cold crept in. "I'll go," he said. "But what about you?" Tira looked to the rooftops, her eyes scanning the dark sky. "I have my own war to fight. But I wanted you to know ... I never forgot." She paused, then added, "I came back for you, Father. And I will not let them take from me again what I once lost." The night sky above New Helion turned darker as heavy clouds rolled in. Carter didn't waste time. He packed only what he needed: tools, an old datapad, and 2 changes of clothes. His apartment was small and quiet, built above a repair shop. He had lived here for years, alone, fixing junked equipment for barter. It was nothing special, but it had been home. Now it felt like a trap. Tira's warning echoed in his mind. She had spoken with certainty, not fear. He had seen it in her eyes, the storm she carried behind that calm voice. If she said war was coming, it meant ships, drones, fire. It meant innocent people would burn while power-hungry cowards hid behind shields. Carter had seen it all before. And this time, he didn't want to be in the middle of it. He left the building quietly before sunrise. The streets were quiet, painted in pale blue from the neon lamps still glowing. His coat flapped in the cold wind as he moved quickly through the alleys. He didn't know where he was going yet, but he trusted her. That was all that mattered. If Tira told him to leave, then he would leave. Meanwhile, high above the city, Tira stood on the command bridge of her stealth cruiser. Her officers waited for her orders. The ship was cloaked, drifting silently in the upper atmosphere. From here, she could watch the city below, every blinking light, every thermal signature. But her eyes focused on one blinking tracker. It showed Carter's position. He was moving. "Good. Begin the delay sequence," she ordered. Her second in command, a tall scaled alien named Vresk, gave a firm nod. "We'll jam the signal grid. No communication out. It'll buy us 10 hours maybe." 12. Tira didn't look at him. "It will be enough." She turned away from the display and stared at the photo now visible on her private screen. It was old, just a man and a cub, asleep together on a shuttle seat. She hadn't shown it to anyone. Not even her generals. To them she was Empress. Tira, of the Nishari, cold, sharp, unbreakable. They didn't know her past. They didn't know her origin. And they didn't need to. But in moments like this, when she felt the old ache return, she allowed herself to remember the warmth of his voice, the smell of machine oil and cinnamon candy, the soft hum of his stories at night. A signal broke her thoughts. An enemy vessel had entered orbit, smaller than hers but deadly. Its ID matched one of the Black Directive's warships. They were the ones who raised her in a cage, the ones who taught her to kill. They were efficient and cruel. And now they had tracked her. Here. Not just to destroy her, but to erase what she had remembered. "They won't stop," Vresk said grimly. "They'll burn the whole city just to kill you." Tira's jaw tightened. then they'll find more than fire waiting for them. She turned to her war council. Prepare the ghost blades. I want their engines disabled. No bloodshed unless they strike first. Vresk frowned. You're giving mercy? Tira's voice was cold. I'm giving Carter time. Down on the surface, Carter moved into the edge of the outer industrial zone. This part of the city was full of tunnels, wrecked cargo ships, and abandoned machines. It was perfect for hiding. He climbed into an old elevator shaft and lowered himself 3 levels down. There, behind a rusted bulkhead, was a space he once used for salvaging. It would keep him out of sight for now. He sat down on a crate and took out the stuffed drone from his pocket. Beep, still dusty, still one-eyed. He looked at it and wondered how she had held on to those memories through years of suffering. They had taken everything from her name, warmth, freedom. But not him, not entirely. Somehow he had stayed inside her. Above him, the sky lit up as enemy ships entered the lower atmosphere. They moved fast and quiet, invisible to public radar. But Tira's ship was already prepared. Her fighters, smaller, sleeker, launched from hidden bays. They curved around clouds like shadows. And when the enemy scanned the city, they found nothing but static, no target, no heat trail. Just silence and jamming waves. Then the first strike came. A warning shot, no civilians harmed. Just a blast across the empty sky. A signal, a challenge. The Black Directive didn't answer with words. They dropped a missile into the far east sector of the city. Buildings shook, windows shattered. People screamed. The countdown had begun. Tira's heart clenched. This wasn't just an attack. It was a message. We're coming. And we will burn everything you care about. She turned to Vresk. Target their engines. No survivors aboard, but I want their ship intact. We're sending one back with a message. Vresk smiled with razor-sharp teeth. Understood, Empress. Tira watched the battle unfold from above. Lasers crossed the sky like falling stars. Her fleet was holding, but she knew this wasn't the end. More would come, stronger, bolder. Her decision to come here had exposed Carter to danger, but she had no regrets. She would protect him now, the way he once protected her. No matter the cost. Asterisk. Tira stood at the edge of the command bridge as her ship shook lightly from distant blasts. She watched every movement on the screen, her ships dancing between missile trails, jamming signals pulsing in waves, explosions blooming like angry flowers. But her focus stayed locked on one blinking marker deep in the underground grid. Carter was still moving. That meant he was alive. One of her scouts stepped forward. They've begun deploying ground units. Heavy armor, no ID tags. They want to flush someone out. Tira narrowed her eyes. Me. She didn't hesitate. Send Ghost Unit 7. Disable their legs. No killing unless necessary. The scout nodded and left. Tira turned back to the map. The enemy wasn't here to conquer. They were here to erase. Down below, Carter crouched low as dust fell from the ceiling. The blast from the eastern sector had rattled even the old tunnels. The walls groaned, pipes hissed, and lights flickered. Carter pulled out his pistol and flashlight. He hadn't used the gun in years. His hands remembered it better than his mind did. He moved toward the lower tunnel, away from the heat signature they were probably tracking. He slipped through a cracked maintenance duct and crawled under broken fans. The space was tight, filled with smoke and the bitter scent of burned plastic. As he moved, memories rushed back: training, escape routes, worst-case drills. Funny how things he had long buried returned the moment he needed them. He wasn't helpless, not yet. But he was also no soldier anymore. Suddenly, a low sound echoed through the tunnel, metallic, heavy, a thumping step. Then another. Carter froze. He peeked through a grate and saw one of them, A walker drone, tall as a man but spider-shaped. Sleek black armor, scanning lasers. It moved with machine patience, hunting for heat. Carter held his breath, hiding in the shadow of a broken support beam. The drone paused. Its red sensor blinked. For a second, Carter thought it had found him. But then, a sharp hiss cut through the tunnel. Something fast moved above the drone. There was a flash of silver. Then silence. The drone fell, sparking. From the shadows dropped a figure in black armor, one of Tira's ghosts. Silent, deadly. The soldier gave Carter a nod and vanished without a word. Carter let out the breath he was holding. So she was watching. She hadn't left him alone in this hell. He moved again, faster now, turning through old corridors and dropping into deeper chambers. Each step took him farther from the fighting and closer to the outer wall. Tira had told him to leave, and he trusted her with his life. He just didn't know where to go yet. Above, the black directive ship was losing power. Tira's ghost blades had sliced through its shielding like knives through silk. Engines flickered, guidance systems failed. Then, with one final blast, the ship dropped from the sky. It didn't crash, it landed. Hard. Controlled. On purpose. Tira narrowed her eyes. That meant they weren't done. Someone important was still inside. Her screen flashed. A live transmission forced itself onto her bridge. No encryption. Just static. Then a voice, cold, female, mechanical. You should have stayed hidden, Subject 0T. The voice made Tira's claws extend slowly. You no longer belong to him. Return now, and we will erase what's left of the memory that weakens you. Her officers froze, watching their empress. Tira walked up to the screen and answered with a voice steady as stone. You erased nothing. You failed. The face behind the voice didn't appear. Just the words, he is irrelevant. A defect. You were born to lead, not love. Tira tilted her head slightly. Then why are you afraid of him? The transmission cut instantly. She turned to Vresk. They'll come in person now. They want to break what they couldn't control. Prepare my armor. I'm going down there. Vresk growled softly. You shouldn't go alone. Tira's eyes flashed. I'm not going to fight. I'm going to show them what they made and what they failed to kill. Carter had reached the outer emergency tunnel near the city wall. The metal hatch was sealed, but he found the manual override still working. With a push, the doors creaked open. Cold wind rushed in. Beyond the wall was wasteland, dry, broken land left behind by old wars. But it meant safety, distance, and that was all he needed now. He stepped outside and turned back one last time. The city behind him was glowing red now. Sirens wailed. Fighters screamed above. But in the sky he saw something falling, no, not falling. Descending. It was her, Tira, clad in glowing armor, falling like a star toward the heart of the battlefield. He didn't know what she would do next, but she wasn't running. She was heading straight into fire. Carter gripped the edge of his coat and began walking into the wind. His body was tired, his heart heavier than ever, but deep inside, something burned with pride. The cub he saved was now the Empress who would change the galaxy. She had come back not just to protect him, but to take back everything that was stolen from her. Tira landed hard on a rooftop near the fallen enemy ship. Her boots crushed the gravel as she stood tall in her battle armor. It was sleek, glowing with orange energy veins, and shaped to move like a second skin. Her helmet split open with a pony hiss and folded behind her head. Her golden eyes scanned the smoking metal wreck, searching for movement. She wasn't just here to fight. She was here to finish what was started long ago. The enemy ship's hatch opened slowly. From the shadows stepped 4 armored agents of the Black Directive. Behind them, a fifth figure walked with no armor at all, an older woman, pale and sharp-eyed, dressed in a long coat stitched with silver patterns. Her voice came cold as frost, so the stray cub grew claws. Impressive. Tira said nothing. Her silence was the answer. You've done well, the woman continued. Risen higher than we expected. But this empire of yours, it was built on weakness. A lie, emotion. Tira stepped forward. You call it weakness. I call it strength. I remember his hands, his voice. You tried to burn it out of me. Her claws extended with a click. But it only made me sharper. The woman didn't flinch. She smiled like a snake showing its fangs. Behind her, the agents raised their weapons. Tira didn't move. You fire, she said, and none of you leave this roof. The woman raised a hand. Stand down, she won't kill us. She's still. The same little creature who once cried for a broken toy. Tira's tail flicked once. And you're still the same coward who hides behind numbers and pain. Let's finish this. No armies, no guards. Just you and me. The woman stepped forward. Her gloves fell away, revealing skin marked with strange glowing lines. I accept. She reached to her neck and pulled a hidden blade from beneath her collar. Tira drew no weapon. She didn't need one. Her claws and her fury were enough. They began to circle, their feet silent on the cracked rooftop. Above them, the sky boiled with storm clouds. The battle had gone quiet, all eyes now on them. Down below, Carter had found shelter inside the wreckage of a collapsed monorail. From the hatch, he could see the top of the tall building where the two figures now moved. He couldn't hear the words, but he saw the sharp movements. He recognized one of them instantly. Tira. She moved like fire. Powerful, fast, graceful. Every step was memory turned into motion. The first clash happened fast. The woman struck with precision, her blade humming with energy. But Tira dodged, slipped low, and countered with a sweep of her leg. The woman stumbled, then slashed again, nearly catching Tira's shoulder. Sparks flew. Neither of them held back. This wasn't training. This was the final chapter of a war that started with a stolen child. Tira's claws sliced the air, striking sparks off the blade. The woman ducked, spun, and kicked, knocking Tira back a step. But she recovered quickly and charged again. Her knee drove into the woman's stomach, knocking her flat. The enemy gasped, coughed, and rolled to her feet. He made you weak, she hissed. Tira's voice came like thunder. He made me whole. The woman lunged one last time, blade aimed at Tira's throat. But this time, Tira caught her wrist mid-air. She twisted, dropped low, and with a brutal spin, disarmed her. The blade clattered away. Tira held the woman by the neck, claws ready. The old commander sneered. Do it then. Show your soldiers the beast we made. Tira's face was calm. You don't deserve my rage. You deserve to vanish. She threw the woman aside, not killing her, but breaking her pride. Her agents stepped back, unsure whether to fight or flee. Tira looked at them once. Go, she ordered. Tell your masters. The cub you threw away now leads a world. The agents grabbed their wounded commander and fled into the ruined ship. Tira stood alone again on the rooftop, breathing steady. The sky cleared slowly. The storm pulled back like a curtain. And below, in the streets, her people saw their empress not just as a warrior, but as something more. A daughter of fire. A queen who had won her war not through blood, but through strength of soul. In the distance, Carter watched it all, with tired but proud eyes. She had done it. She had chosen mercy. And that made her greater than any ruler he had ever known. The fires had gone out by morning. Smoke no longer rose from the streets of New Helion. The citizens came out slowly, unsure if the danger had truly passed. Above them, the Empress walked through the debris with quiet steps. Her armor was scratched, her claws dull from the fight. But her eyes were steady, her heart calm. She wasn't looking for enemies now. She was looking for one man. Carter stood near the edge of the city wall, his coat flapping in the morning breeze. He saw her long before she reached him. Even without her glowing armor, even without the title, he would have known her anywhere. The way she walked, tail low and shoulders back, reminded him of the small cub who used to trail behind him through old cargo bays. They stopped a few steps apart. Tira looked at him for a long moment before speaking. "It's over, for now." Carter nodded. "You stopped them." She gave a small nod back. "I didn't do it alone." Carter looked at her armor, the cracked plates and scorched lines. "You could have killed her." Tira shrugged lightly. "She wanted fear. I gave her something worse." Irrelevance. They stood in silence, the city behind them starting to breathe again. Workers began clearing rubble. Drones hummed above, scanning for survivors. And citizens, some frightened, some in awe, gathered to catch a glimpse of the Empress who had once been a child in hiding. Carter turned to her again. "So what now?" he asked. "War never ends. What will you do?" Tira looked up at the sun as it pierced through the retreating clouds. "I will lead, with purpose. With memory. I've made peace with what I am. But I won't let them write the story anymore." She looked at him, softer now. "They wanted me to forget you. But you were the one thing they couldn't take." Carter swallowed hard. His voice was rough when he spoke. "You became everything they feared. And everything I hoped." She stepped forward and reached out, placing something in his hand. He looked down. It was the small drone toy beep, newly cleaned and stitched. "I carried it every battle. I wanted you to have it again," she said quietly. Carter held it tightly and smiled. "I never thought I'd see you again," he said. "But I always hoped." Tira tilted her head. "I didn't come back for hope, Father. I came back for you." Her voice was low, filled with meaning. "They thought they made me, but you were the one who saved me. You gave me my first name. My first warmth, my first truth. That never left me." Suddenly, her comm unit crackled. A new fleet had entered orbit, but this one carried allies and Shari banners. Rebel signals. Worlds once under fear were rising up now, inspired by what they saw in her. The empire she built had begun to grow. And her people were calling her back. She turned to Carter. "I have to go soon. They need me." Carter nodded with pride. "Then go, lead them. Just don't forget to rest." Tira smiled again, wider this time. "Not without my first family." She reached for a signal tag from her belt and handed it to him. "This will take you to the Central Fleet. When you're ready, come find me. There's a place for you. With me, always." Carter took the tag and held it like a treasure. He didn't say yes. He didn't have to. She already knew. They stood together for a few more moments, in silence, father and daughter, soldier and Empress. Then, with the wind behind her and the city watching, Tira stepped toward her dropship. Her armor shimmered as the engines fired up. She looked back once, her eyes glowing gold in the sun. Then she rose into the sky, climbing higher, returning to the stars from where she had come.